Hi, I'm here with Bennett Kremen, and he wrote, the book just came out, hot on the presses, and you can reach it at Amazon.com. That's Savage Days and Haunted Nights.
It's a novel. But it's based on my experiences growing up in the old west side of Chicago, and then it comes to New York, where the main character runs away from trying to get out of that life of crime. He ends up having a life in New York, becomes a writer, and has a completely different life, but his past catches up with him. And in the process, it becomes a moral tale. And some of the great issues, moral issues of our times are worked out in that, a love story.
Tell me more about your Chicago days with this new book that you have out, Savage Days and Haunted Nights, and about how the guy tried to make money off of his pool shark friends.
Well, he had a struggle for money, and he had a friend who was really an ace pool player who grew up in the old Bowery before it became what it is today. As a kid, his mother was a card dealer in a pool hall, and she would bring him in at 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, and she would say, Kevin, listen, I'll be busy. Why don't you pick up those nice little balls there and play with them on the table there. That's how Kevin grew up, and he became one of the best pool sharks in New York. And so...
your first book briefly, and then let's talk about your passions. You're interested in organizing with the unions. Dateline America.
Well, I've also been a freelance journalist. I've written for the New York Times, The Nation magazine, Village Voice.
So now tell me, you have a new passion. You're writing a new book, and your passion is about unions and organizing we the people.
Well, in that book, I got very involved in the unions. I got very involved in talking about the labor movement and talking about America was declining. I saw that when I wrote that book 25 years ago, the beginning of what's called the Rust Belt. I witnessed it and recorded it in that book. I worked in a steel mill. I traveled all over the country, and I could see that America was getting into something pretty deep, and I think everybody in America now knows we're in some kind of trouble. So that book was dealing with all that. While I did all that, I did a lot of labor reporting, and those pieces appeared in The Nation magazine and the New York Times and what have you. So, my recent passion. What's going on in Wisconsin right now with this Governor Walker? And this battle that's developing with the labor movement? I don't think average Americans know just how significant that is in their lives directly. The founding fathers, when they created the Constitution and created our government, were highly skeptical of power. They had just fought the King of England, and they know power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. 2011. You have the corporations on a raging, wild power grab, money grab, the likes of which we haven't seen since Teddy Roosevelt bust the trust in the 1900s. And you know, that started in Wisconsin, actually, the progressive movement that Teddy Roosevelt picked up on. The robber barons, they were called, the Rockefellers, the Fords, the Mellons, all of them were getting so much power that what the Founding Fathers feared was taking place. And Teddy Roosevelt, tough guy that he was, went eyeball to eyeball with Rockefeller, with all of the big industrial giants. He broke up Standard Oil of New Jersey, which was the big oil company that Rockefeller owned, and he put them in there. He checked them. Today, it's supposed to be the Democratic Party that's checking the Republicans who represent the corporations. Democratic Party has been failing at doing in this battle. The average person working every day, struggling to pay his rent, you know, trying to get up the money to pay the rising prices at the supermarket and pay the rising gasoline prices. The people holding the line in that battle with these corporations are sticking our heads in the noose are the labor unions. They're the ones, they are the backbone, they are the lifeblood, they're the economic basis, and they are the organizers, the people who go out and get the vote done for the Democratic Party.
Now you're talking my language.
All right, so they're trying to really break them. What Governor Walker did, it's very well thought out. All these other Tea Party, or whatever you want to call these guys, these Neanderthal right-wingers, are trying to do is literally bust the progress of the last 100 years, going back to Teddy Roosevelt. They want to literally turn back what Teddy Roosevelt did, what FDR did. They want to actually have power that I've never seen anything like it. It's un-American. There should be another Un-American Activities Committee, and these people should be brought in and questioned and put on the dock and be persecuted just the way they persecuted anybody who disagreed with them when they did the old Un-American Activities Committee.
Because you're saying some of our founding fathers actually set some nice things up, like the housing, where it could be affordable housing and you could even own it, opposed to, you know, what we see up here in New York today.
Right.
But who was responsible for the Social Security? Was that Teddy Roosevelt too?
No, that was out there. That Teddy Roosevelt, the progressive movement, was dealing with that. But Franklin Delano Roosevelt, during the Depression, put that into play, and the right wing has been after it ever since. They have never. Now they see their opportunity. They really want to break it all. They really want to get us back to, you know, what America was like before there were any unions, before there were any, you know, Social Security, before this terrible government. What they're saying, get the government off our back. You know, go get the government off our back. Take the street signs down, stop the stoplights, don't have the water come through, stop the mail. This is get the government off our back.
And find Hoffa.
Find Jimmy.
Jimmy Hoffa. Well, the bottom line is Jimmy tried like heck trying to get the unions together, and he was so successful that he ended up dead.
Jimmy, where are you now that we need you? We could really. So, Jimmy Hoffa's son is now running the Teamsters.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Now, where is Jimmy Hoffa's son?
Is the head of the Teamsters Union.
Well, that's excellent.
And he's very much in the middle of this fight we're talking about. If they lose the fight, then the average American, not only that, these guys are not only going after changing the economic rules, giving all the money to the corporate, you know, no, don't tax the rich, we're going to cut all your programs, get rid of Medicare, Medicaid. It's crazy. They're out of their minds. They really like democracy. They don't really, they call themselves American.
Look, there's so many of us baby boomers born from 1946 to 1964. That means it's like if you had a garden hose and there was a basketball moving through that garden hose through time, that's the baby boomers. They were born 10,000 a day. Right. So we can't let that happen.
The current battle of the very soul of the American people is hanging by a hook. And well, that's why you got to know a little bit of the history of this thing and know who you're fighting and why what it is they're out to take away from us. The democracy is in question because those people have never been comfortable with it because they're a minority. The millionaires are a minority in this country. They're not. Their job is to control the majority to get their way, and they got a lot of money to do it with. And that's why they get very vicious, because they are a minority. You have to beat the majority. Look at Richard Nixon. You know, now Governor Walker and all these other, Sarah Palin and all. They're double vicious because they have to make up for what they don't really have in numbers. One man, one vote. They are a minority. And they want to keep the majority. They want to control all of us. And they're trying very hard to do that. That's the battle we're in. It's being fought in Wisconsin and now all over the place. They are fighting for us. You don't have to be in a union. They're fighting for us.
And God bless them. Well, Bennett Kremen.
Okay.